But if not, it's more than likely January. Yeah.
Okay. I saw his last fight. I actually did a video on it telling people to watch it on, what is it, Facebook or?
Yeah, it was on Fight Night Live. Yeah, it was on Facebook.
Yeah, something. Yeah, Facebook. So, yeah, I posted the link so people can watch it.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate that, now.
All the time.
Okay, guys, we back.
Oh, definitely.
We back reconnected.
Okay,
great.
We back reconnected, and once again, guys, that's not my internet. That's YouTube. YouTube doing that right there. But anyway, let's go ahead and take the first call. We're gonna go ahead and take the first call right now and see what you guys are talking about. All right, so we have 310. What's going on, 310? What's your name? Where you calling from, man?
Hey, this is Julio from Long Beach, man.
You sound a little muffled. What you said? This is Felix?
No, this is Julio.
Julio, what's going on, Julio? From where? Where you say you calling from?
Hey, from Compton.
Compton, CPT. What's on your mind, man?
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to talk about the PBC lineup that they have about, Leo Santa Cruz versus Moises.
Yeah,
I really don't like that fight.
Yeah, you say you don't like that fight? Why not?
Yeah. Because I was expecting Gary Russell versus Leo Santa Cruz. That's what we wanted to have. That's the main fight that. I'm sorry if you guys can't hear me. It's because I'm in Raising Cane's, and you know how crazy it gets.
You say you where in Raising Cane's? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, you getting that good chicken? Okay, it's all good. Hey, no, but
it's kind of.
But Barbershop. Why did because Barbershop real close to Al and Sam. Why didn't that fight happen? Because I thought that fight was gonna be the next fight, Leo Santa Cruz and Gary Russell.
Yeah, and in my greatest guesstimation, in order to have a great movie, you got to introduce all the leading characters, and their job is to go there and knock everybody out, put on impressive performances, introduce the characters, tell the narrative, and sell the product, and then we'll get the. In my humble opinion, because I've written a few books, and when you write the book, you got to introduce the topics of conversation. The topics of conversation is everyone that's the ace high on the lead spot on the major Fox network, not FS1. You understand what I'm saying? So I think that was the plan. Just looking at the lineup, I don't know specifically, but that's what I believe.
So you haven't, but you haven't heard any explanation at all then of why? Because I've been just hearing. I actually believe that Leo does want the fight. I know Gary Russell want the fight. So or who knows? Who knows? Maybe Leo did say. Maybe Leo said, "Let me get one more fight before the Gary Russell fight." Here's
what it is. Fox also has 4 pay-per-views. So you got to build up the pay-per-view audience. You got to build up their audience who wants to buy the pay-per-view. And who's going to be the next pay-per-view fight? Well, if you get the two guys if you get Jared Hurd to knock a guy out on December 1st, and you get Jamel Charlo to knock out Tony Harrison December 22nd, that's your next pay-per-view the next quarter. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to build it up, because the pay-per-view audience is basically not dried out, but it's in a place where it's unsatisfied, and Fox Sports is coming into a new market. They haven't put on pay-per-view fights before.
But you think if Gary Russell and the Leo Santa Cruz have to be a pay-per-view fight?
No.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah, because that shouldn't be a pay-per-view fight right there. That shouldn't be a pay-per-view fight right there. So I don't think that.
Wait a minute. Are you buying chicken or raising chicken?
No. I wasn't Raising Cane's, the restaurant.
No, that's me. No, that's me.
Because I hear.
That's me. That's me. You hear roosters out here in Thailand.
What is that noise?
It's in the morning. It's in the morning where he's at.
God, that is hilarious. That's hilarious.
It's 11. It's 11 in the morning. It's 11 in the morning out here in Thailand. There's roosters all over me right now.
Oh, man.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny as hell.
Yeah,
he said,
Dante,
he said you raising,
you know
you
what?
raising chickens, or you at are you cooking chicken? Oh my goodness. Oh man. Yeah, man. They in the background like, yeah, man, let me give a shout out to Troy and, and the homies out there, holding it down in the Philippines. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, man.
That's what's up.
But no doubt about it, man. No, Gary Russell, Leo Santa Cruz, that's not a pay-per-view fight. I mean, realistically, I'm honestly hoping that we still get away from pay-per-view eventually. I guess that's not going to happen. But I'm kind of, because I know a lot of these fights are going to be on free TV with Al Heyman, you know what I mean? And every once in a while, some of these fights are going to be pay-per-view. But I'm still hoping that, eventually Al Heyman and everyone else, they get to the point to where we never have to watch another pay-per-view fight. You know what I mean? Even if it is, go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm thinking that the concept of DAZN will, have people to shy away from pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Where you can still, at mass numbers of having tons of subscriptions in order to be able to pay fighters, these big purses like that still, without having to charge, $60 to $80 per fight.
And that's what I like.
For a pay-per-view event.
And that's what I like. Once again, like I said earlier, that's what I like about DAZN.
Hey, Don.
Go ahead.
Hey, Dante, yeah. What do you feel about DAZN actually working with Al Heyman? There would have been a better chance for DAZN working with Al Heyman. Would have been great for every fighter right now.
Of course, Julio. I think they are going to work with each other eventually. I mean, remember Al Heyman, who signed Danny Jacobs. Eventually, they went over to HBO. You know what I mean? And they did fights on HBO while Danny Jacobs was still being advised by Al Heyman. So with that being said, I'm sure Al Heyman, I feel Al Heyman is more of a peacemaker than someone who tries to purposely stay away from cats. If it makes sense and if it benefits the fighters and it benefits the fans, I think eventually they'll make that move, because my thing is I want to see Charlo versus Canelo. And Eddie Hearn just recently said that it ain't going to be no Canelo-Charlo fight if Charlo doesn't come over here to DAZN. So my question is, first of all, I don't even understand how Eddie Hearn can say that if he's the mandatory. I don't understand how you could say you can't fight Canelo, unless you come over here.
Just talking.
Yeah. I mean, because what's going to happen in that situation?
He's just talking.
Because the question is what's going to happen in that situation. He's the mandatory. He has to get the fight eventually, or Canelo will have to drop him down.
DAZN is the one in control, not Eddie.
And I think that's what everybody having the bad feeling about DAZN right now, because of Eddie Hearn actually making, everybody hates Eddie Hearn every time that he talks. So it makes it a bad rap for him having in DAZN. But I think DAZN is a pretty good, network right now. It's just the fact that Eddie Hearn's voice makes it so bad that people are not accepting it as any boxing fan right now. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, good stuff. But once again, just to reiterate, there's no doubt about it. I mean, the fact that Canelo versus Rocky Fielding, hands down, would have been on pay-per-view if he was still with HBO. It would have been a pay-per-view fight, and we know damn well that fight ain't worth $5. You know what I mean? If you got to pay for it. You know what I'm saying? Now, and of course, if it comes to Canelo versus Charlo, that fight is worth paying for. But not Canelo versus Rocky Fielding. That's robbing the bank as far as I'm concerned. So I'm glad that DAZN is doing the right thing when it comes to that, and we get to watch that fight for free. Matter of fact, if you click on my link, I have it in the description box, you can watch that Rocky Fielding Canelo fight for free. So make sure you guys click on that link that I have in the description box to watch that fight for free. You got to start up that trial, and you get a free trial for 30 days, and you get all the fights on DAZN and all for free if you click on my link. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let me go ahead and announce the lineup real quick. I want to go ahead and announce the lineup or talk about this lineup. And see, this is how you know how big this lineup is, because you know, Mikey Garcia or Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia kind of overshadowed all the other great fights on this list. You know, for example, Jose Uzcategui versus Caleb Plant. That's a big, meaningful fight right there. And, you know, of course, a lot of people are not going to talk that much about it because of the fact that, you know, you have these bigger name fights. But you got that fight right there. You got Keith Thurman. That's January 13th. You got Keith Thurman versus Josito Lopez. That's on January 26th. Leo Santa Cruz versus Flores, February 16th. Anthony Durrell versus, what is that? Yildirim. And I guess the winner of this fights against David Benavidez, right? And then you got Sean Porter versus Ugas. You got Spence versus Garcia, March 16th. Lamont Peterson versus Lipinets, 24th of March. Caleb Trucks versus Quillen, April 13th. April 20th, Danny Garcia versus Adrian Granados. And then the 22nd, you got the Charlo brothers going against Monroe and Harrison, and Dominic Brazil against Carlos Negron. So once again, guys, that's just the first quarter of what PBC is announcing, and they didn't, for whatever reason, they don't have Wilder on this list. I guess that's because Wilder is closer to the beginning of December. I don't know why, but it is what it is. So that's the list right there.
Hey, Dante.
What's going on, man?
I got a question.
What's going on?
I know that Porter's gonna fight Ugas, but isn't Ugas the #1 contender for the IBF for Spence? If he beats Ugas, which is kind of a little bit of a tough fight, does that make him as the #1 contender for the IBF? I mean, I'm talking about Porter. If he beats Ugas, does that make him a #1 for the mandatory, or it doesn't even?
No, it wouldn't. I don't think it would work that way. Since he's the champion, they're not going to rank him as the #1. He's the champion. He's already above #1 because he's the champion already. Mm-hmm. So even if Sean Porter wins the fight, look, Sean Porter is always going to be in the best position to fight Errol Spence because he's another champion. He doesn't have to wait in line like a contender does, if that makes sense. And speaking of that, Fred, I mean, my thing is, I don't understand why it is Mikey Garcia can move up from 140. He could get this fight done. He could get this fight done in like months. They negotiated the fight. The fight gets done. He abandons his mandatory opponent, Richard Comey, to fight against Errol Spence. I don't understand why Sean Porter couldn't do the same thing, because Sean Porter, he said that we have to look at the business aspect, and you know, and if the fight doesn't happen, it won't be my fault. It won't be Errol's fault. So I mean, how was it so easy for Mikey to get this fight, but not for Sean to get the fight?
Because that's $1 million. That's $1 million question. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Fred.
No, you talk.
Fred. Go ahead, Fred.
Oh, okay. No, I was just saying, this would be my last. I'm about to walk into a concert as well. But it's just $1 million question. Like, how can, I mean, you can say it about everybody. All the contenders leading up to Sean Porter and Keith Thurman, and he comes in so easily and willingly. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
it's a key word.
Like I want this fight. At the end of the day, Mikey Garcia would not let him go.
Yeah,
would not let him go. He wanted this fight. He went out of his way to get this fight. He told Al Heyman, "I want this fight." And there's nothing you can do that's gonna deter me. And they tried to make the Sean Porter fight. They tried to make the Sean Porter fight. And Mikey Garcia would not let go. You know, he was unwilling to let go.
Yeah, so it says a lot more about it says a lot more about Mikey Garcia than anything, I guess.
Oh yeah. It says everything about Mikey Garcia and it questions everyone at 147.
Well, with Mikey Garcia, with him taking the fight, he's really in a good position because even if he loses, there's that notion of he took the fight against someone that every other welterweight was afraid to fight. So no matter what his performance, no matter what happens with his performance, not only is he getting a great payday compared to whoever else he could have fought, because even if he had fought Lomachenko, it wouldn't have generated the same amount of money that he's going to get fighting Errol Spence on pay-per-view. So he's going to get the best from it financially. And then if he loses, oh, well, shit, you lost to arguably one of the best pound-for-pound fighters who everyone's afraid of. So, I mean, he's going to look good aside from possibly getting his ass beat. And the thing also with these other welterweights worrying about Errol Spence, they're worried about their future going forward because not only does Errol Spence beat you, but he puts a beating on you that can take some time off your career. And some of these other fighters might not have that same fan support that a Mikey Garcia has.
Yeah, absolutely. And my man Fred, once again, he had to get up out. He's going to a concert. So I want to thank Fred for calling in Barbershop Conversations. Make sure you guys subscribe to his channel. You guys were just listening to one of my regular panelists, my man Kirk Jackson. What's going on, Kirk? What's on you? What's good with you? Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on. Give me one quick second.
Kirk?
Money, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. What happened? Did I drop Kirk? Did I accidentally
I thought I just heard Kirk.
Yeah, let me see if he's okay. Kirk, you back? Kirk is back. Okay, I don't know if
I'm back.
Okay.
Hey, Kirk, what's happening, man?
Yeah, man.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Yeah.
Hey, it's all good, man.
So, Kirk, real quick.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I think my phone was messing up.
Oh, okay. Hey, let's go ahead and take another call real quick. Okay, so we got 516. What's going on, 516? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, what's up, Dante? It's Mustafa. I'm calling from New York.
What's going on, Mustafa? What's on your mind, man?
What's going on, man? Yeah, real quick, I'm gonna say I think probably Usyk. He probably deserves Fighter of the Year so far. For what he's done. Wilder will probably be a quick second if he could take out Fury, but I think probably Usyk probably deserves that since he could. He fought through the tournament. He fought undefeated guys. He beat all those guys. And he came out with all 4 belts, and then he just beat Tony Bellew. That was probably a good look for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
But honestly, man, I gotta, I'm calling up for something else too, man. You might call me a decaf or something, but I hope not. But to be honest, man, look, I mean, I'm not white, I'm not black, I'm Middle Eastern, so. I see the racism in sports. I see the racism in boxing when it comes down to it. I see the way they try to prop up white fighters, things like that. I mean, to be honest, I don't know. A lot of the times is it because of just marketability. They know that they're going to be able to get a lot more people to watch because obviously white people are probably almost 70% of the country. So if you got, someone that looks like them that's dominating, they're probably going to watch it. But, but to be honest, man, at the same time, I feel like you do the same thing, man. I feel like you do what you're fighting against. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like a lot of the times you also will criticize white fighters, but then when black fighters do the same thing, you don't seem to criticize them.
Give me an example. When you right there. I'm glad you said that. Give me a side-by-side comparison of 2 fighters, one black, one non-black, doing the same thing, and I treated them different for doing it. Hello? Okay, guys. Hey, guys, hold on for a second. Don't nobody hang up. Hold on for 1 second. I don't know why my phone line after 60 minutes it drops, and I got to call back. So, guys, hold on for 1 second. Just everybody stay on pause 1 second. Give me 1 quick second, y'all. I got to get this phone line back up. It would do that right after the question I asked. Hold on 1 quick second, guys. I'm getting the phone lines back reset.
This service is provided by freeconferencing.com. Please announce yourself.
Credit.
Okay.
He beat Gary Ross.
Because I look at guys.
Oh man, you done got to it before me. Wait. You know my call dropped, so I want to go back. I want to rewind. I want to go back to where we were. Right when my call dropped, you were going to give me a side by side.
Oh, it dropped.
Yeah. You guys didn't even know.
So where did I leave off?
Soon as I asked that question, when I asked the question, give me a side by side comparison of not giving a certain fighter credit who's not black when I gave a black fighter credit better. So go ahead and answer that question.
Right. Like I'm saying, like I feel like you're giving Errol Spence even more credit than you're giving to Lomachenko. Well, meanwhile, Errol Spence, who did he beat? He's only beaten Kell Brook, who was already beaten.
But by saying what?
G.
But by saying what? No, wait. But you didn't tell me what I said though. You kind of leaving it out there vague.
Oh
though.
Yeah.
What did I say about Errol Spence?
Right. Okay. So the example that I used was that when Lomachenko fought Rigondeaux came up 2 weight classes, which is not really that. That's even Lomachenko himself said, "Well, listen, I can't take that away. Like that's, he's not in my weight class." But also, Lomachenko was not a power puncher like Errol Spence is. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like you didn't give Lomachenko the credit for beating Rigondeaux the same way like you're already popping up to give Errol Spence the credit.
Wait, hold on, wait. But you saying things, but you're not telling me what I said. And now you're trying to predict after we haven't even got the Errol Spence Mikey Garcia fight. But what did I say? What did I say about Errol Spence beating Mikey Garcia that was different than what I said about Lomachenko beating Rigo?
Hey, no, what I'm saying is Lomachenko. If Lomachenko was black and the things that he's accomplished so far in his career, I feel like you would have given him a lot more credit.
But you can't say I feel. You can't say I feel. You have. Oh, hold on.
I'm saying, man, this is based upon your videos.
Okay. So if it's based on my video, tell me what I said though, because you keep saying I feel. You're not telling me what I said. Tell me what I said exactly. No. Tell me what I said.
Okay. All right. So what I'm saying is the same way that these networks hype up their white fighters is the same way, like I said, the way that you talk
Tell me what I said.
Like, yeah, okay.
Tell me what I said. Quote me. Like when I quote Jim Lampley, when I quote Dan Raphael, when I talk about racism, I quote what they say, and then I give you a side-by-side comparison. You just telling me, I feel if this was a white guy, you would have said this or you would have said that. When I talk about Dan Raphael, I don't have to say what they would have said. I tell you what they actually said.
Racist, bro.
I know that. That's my point. That's my point.
Look,
and I know.
I'm telling you, I'm from the middle.
Listen.
From the middle.
You keep saying you from the middle. Hold on. You keep saying you from the middle. I want you to understand something. And I'm not saying you're racist, but I'm just saying a person being racist, it doesn't matter if they're from the middle. It don't matter if they're Mexican, Puerto Rican, if they're black, if they're white. None of that really matters. It's what your actions suggest.
Right.
And it's what you say.
Right.
A lot of people have this misconception that, oh, I'm not white, so you can't be saying that I'm racist or whatever. No. You got some people that are way more. What I meant. You got some people that are way more racist than white people. You got some people way more racist than them.
Right.
But
100%.
But my point, bro, my point is, once again, you have not quoted me. You have not gave me a side-by-side comparison of how I said something that were two fighters did the same thing, and I completely glorified and praised one fighter, and I didn't praise the non-black. You just keep telling me you feel I would do this. So quote me and tell me what I said.
Can I give you an example?
Go ahead.
Look, I'll give you an example, right? Charlo was Triple G's mandatory, correct?
Yes.
He didn't fight him.
Yes.
Right? Which he ducked him, 100%. He definitely ducked him. But now at the same time, Arasandi Lara was Mayweather's mandatory. He never fought him. You never even mentioned it once. Keith Thurman was Mayweather's mandatory. He never fought him either. You never mentioned it once.
Well, let's talk about the comparison. Let's talk about the comparison. Once again, what I told you to do is give me a side-by-side example of two fighters doing the same thing. When you talk about Floyd Mayweather, he already moved up 5 weight classes. He only went to 154, and he went to a catch weight. He went to 152 just to fight against Canelo Alvarez. He's not a junior middleweight. So that's not the same thing. If you were to make that comparison, what you should have did, you should have gave me an example of where maybe a fighter, he had a mandatory. He was in his prime just like Canelo Alvarez. Everything was the same, and I treated that situation completely different. But the comparison you made,
Lara was Mayweather's. No, Lara was Mayweather's mandatory. But he was Mayweather's mandatory for a long time.
You cannot compare. But Mayweather doesn't fight at 154. Mayweather doesn't fight at 154.
He was mandatory at 154. Yeah.
Mayweather doesn't fight at 54. Canelo fights at 160. You see the difference? You see the difference?
No, but at that time, Canelo wasn't fighting at 160 at that time.
No, what I'm saying,
at 154 at the time.
The comparison that you're making, I'm giving you the comparison that you're making, and I'm telling you why it's not similar. It's not the same thing, because Floyd Mayweather, he did not fight at 154. Floyd Mayweather was a welterweight. Canelo Alvarez, he fights at 160, and even when he fought at 154, he still didn't fight the Charlo brothers. You know what I mean? So it's not the same.
Yeah, he ducked him too, 100%. Yo, listen, I just want to see good fights, man. He ducked him 100%.
But you can't tell me I'm doing the same thing by making a comparison to Floyd Mayweather, though. That's nowhere near a comparison.
Yo, listen, no, Dante. Look, yo, listen, bro. I watch your show, man. I watch a lot of your videos.
I know you watch it. I know you watch it. I appreciate that.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But what I'm saying is, I'm pointing out in your reporting is that, of course, you tend to have a little bias. But look, yo, like I said,
but you still haven't told me what I did was biased. You still haven't told me what I did was biased. Your example was comparing Floyd Mayweather fighting at 154 to Canelo Alvarez, who fights at 160. So then, that's not saying that I'm biased. That's not saying that I'm biased.
I was talking about Erislandy Lara. That's what I was talking about. I said Erislandy Lara, he was Mayweather's mandatory for like damn near 3 years. Mayweather never fought him. That's what I was saying.
At 154.
Whatever, that's fine. We can move. At 154, right.
But see, once again,
Mayweather held the titles at 154. That's what I'm saying. He held the titles. You know what I'm saying?
But my point,
Lara was a good fighter, and I really wanted to see that fight because I never seen Mayweather fight a pure boxer like that before. I would have loved to see that fight.
But you can agree with me that that's not the same situation, though, when Floyd Mayweather has already moved up 5 weight classes, and then he moves up an additional weight class just to fight the big name at 154. Then he goes back down to 147.
But he fought at 154. I think he fought at 154 for Cotto. He fought at 154, I think, for De La Hoya. He fought at 154 quite a few times, though. That wasn't just his only time fighting at 152.
And then he went back.
He fought at 154 a few times.
Absolutely. And then he went back.
It can be argued that Miguel Cotto and Oscar De La Hoya are bigger draws and more accomplished than Erislandy Lara. As talented as Erislandy Lara is, Miguel Cotto and Oscar De La Hoya are held to a higher standard.
1,000%. I understand the business aspect of it, but what I'm saying is, but then when Triple G makes that same, you know what I'm saying, when he makes that same excuse about not fighting Charlo, he's like, he's not a big enough name. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to make money like that. But then it's like you can't call out one, but then not call out the other.
When you say you can't call,
I see what you're saying, but what is Triple G? Who has he fought in general throughout his entire career? And
he hasn't fought nobody. Triple G's. He's not even that good, man, Triple G. I mean, he's good, but he's not. Yeah, I don't think he's the boogeyman like they always thought he was. I always thought, listen, once somebody takes that punch, that's it. It's going to be like Tyson all over again.
Well, hold on. Let me say this. Let me say this real quick. Let's just say hypothetically, if Canelo cleaned out the welterweight division, he cleaned out the middleweight division, right? And he was still going to stay at 160. But he decided, since there was no one else to fight at 160, there's a big draw. And the best fighter at 168, let's say it's Caleb Smith, right? The biggest draw up there. So he goes up there, he beats Caleb Smith, and he comes back down to 160. That would be okay if he did that, even if he had
but Mayweather didn't do that. That's what I'm saying.
Mayweather fought Canelo Alvarez. Mayweather fought Canelo Alvarez at 154.
No,
right?
I think that was his third. That was the third time he went up to 154. But that wasn't the first time.
Yes, every time there was a draw. Every time there was a draw up there, he went to a higher weight class. Let me give you another example. That's like Pernell Whitaker. When he dominated the welterweight division and there was nobody to fight there, he went up to 154 to fight against the Argentine champion. And he really just did that to show that he could fight a guy that's much bigger than him and beat him and take another belt. And then he came right back down to 147. So once again, my point is you cannot compare a fighter who fights in his division and then he gives up his belt or he doesn't fight his mandatory and then he takes on weaker opposition. Because this is what Canelo is doing right now.
All right, I see what you're trying to say. So you're basically saying if Mayweather campaigned at 154 completely and he dodged Errol de Lara, then you're saying you would have called him out for it.
Yeah, of course.
That's what you're saying.
Of course, if he fights, if he fights, or if he gave up, or if he gave up the belt, I will really call him out. He gave up his belt, or whatever the case is. Like fighters like Canelo gave up his belt for Golovkin before, and now Canelo Alvarez has Charlo as his mandatory. You guys have to understand something. Floyd Mayweather, the guys that people said Floyd Mayweather was afraid of or ducking the most meaningful fights, Manny Pacquiao, for example, Floyd Mayweather, he negotiated with Manny Pacquiao in 2008. He was in negotiations with him in 2008. So it's not like he ducked Manny Pacquiao and he tried to fight weaker opposition. No, he agreed to all of Manny Pacquiao's demands. It was Manny Pacquiao that did not agree to Floyd Mayweather's demands, which was the Olympic-style random drug testing. So once again,
to be honest, nobody even knows. You know what I'm saying? Like what happened? Like whatever. Regardless, I would have favored Mayweather in that fight anyway. He was much bigger. You know what I'm saying? He boxes better. And just comparing how Juan Manuel Marquez gave Pacquiao such problems, I was like, oh wow, yeah, Mayweather would probably destroy him anyway. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm trying to say is, like, let's say for instance, like, all right, so where do you rate Lomachenko? I'll ask you that.
I believe Lomachenko.
How do you rate him? Yeah.
I believe he's top 3. I believe he's top 3 pound for pound, the best in the world.
So you're saying that Terrence Crawford is number 1, right?
I believe right now Terrence Crawford is number 1.
Number 1?
Yeah, I believe he's number 1.
Okay, who's number 2? Who's number 2?
I haven't really came up with an order yet. I just have a top 3 right now, and because I didn't say Lomachenko was 2 or 3. I just said I believe he's top 3. I believe he's top 3.
All right. So are you basing this now? Are you basing this off of the eye test, or are you basing this off of resume?
I'm basing this off of the resume, and I'm basing this off of the fact that Lomachenko, he could have actually fought Terrence Crawford. Just like Rigo moved up 2 weight classes to fight him, Lomachenko could have actually fought him, and then we could have really, really, got to find out who the best fighter in the world is pound for pound. But of course, Lomachenko didn't do that,
but it didn't happen, right? Yeah, so it didn't happen. Hopefully, it happens. But I'm just saying it didn't happen. All right, so let me ask you this: who is Terrence Crawford's best name on his resume?
I mean, there's a couple guys.
Are you going to say Gamboa? Who's his best? Who's the best person that he beat? Either it's Postal or Gamboa, right?
Well, I mean, it's a lot of guys. I mean, it's Postal. It is Gamboa is one of them.
But who's the name that made him number 1 pound for pound is what I'm saying. Like, who made him number 1?
Well, you have to understand, when he moves up in weight and he dominates bigger opponents without struggling and he's knocking them out, it's not always so much of just how big the name is. It's the fact that he's going up against champions and he's knocking them out at higher weight classes. How do you look? How do you deal with adversity? This also has something to do with being pound for pound. Now, when it comes to Lomachenko...
Right, so who's the big name that he defeated when he moved up? Who was it? Victor Postal?
Victor Postal? I mean, even Victor Postal, Victor Postal, Jeff Horn. Right? Yeah, Victor Postal, Jeff Horn.
Jeff Horn is not really... he's not considered anything. You know what I'm saying? He's whatever. He's
What if they... Well, hold on. Let me respond. Let me respond to that. Let me respond to that real quick. But Jeff Horn, he did beat Manny Pacquiao. And once again, this is another weight class that Terrence Crawford is moving up to.
Right.
Because I see what you're saying. Okay. You're trying to say the names are not as big as the names that Lomachenko has been up against, right?
Man, like, if you think about it, Lomachenko has beaten so many good people so far.
Well, let me respond.
But you can't always look at. Oh, go ahead, Dante.
Well, go ahead. I'll let you go and then I'll respond. Go ahead, Kurt.
I'm going to say you can't always look at the name. You have to look at the condition of the fighter as well. Guillermo Rigondeaux is a big name for Lomachenko, but also you got to look at the situation. Guillermo Rigondeaux was moving up 2 weight classes as well, and how old was he? Like 40 years old? 40 years old.
No, he's like 37, but yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Okay, 37 years old, coming off a year of inactivity. So, I mean, like, we can give Lomachenko credit for winning because he won the fight. He did what he was supposed to do.
No, to be honest, look, the way that I look at it, I didn't give him credit for winning the fight. I gave him credit for actually outboxing a boxer. That's what I gave him credit for. You know what I'm saying? Because look, I remember even Dante. I remember Dante, when you said this, you said, look, when Amir Khan fought Canelo, you're like, Amir Khan was actually outboxing Canelo. The only reason why he lost was because Canelo was bigger. You see what I'm saying? But in the Rigondeaux fight, Rigondeaux did not outbox Lomachenko at all. Actually, Lomachenko outboxed him completely. So I gave him credit for that.
A lot of that was due to the size. There was an obvious size.
Let me say this though.
Disadvantage.
Okay, let me just say this.
but also Amir Khan was also a lot smaller than Canelo too at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
so he was able to outbox Canelo. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, let me ask you a question real quick because I was going to respond, but I want to ask you a question first. So, do you believe that any person that believes that Terrence Crawford is pound for pound #1 over Lomachenko, you believe that they're biased?
No, it's not that I believe it, because you know what? Honestly, with the eye test, that's what I'm saying. It depends on your criteria. With the eye test, I think Terrence Crawford is better.
Okay, so why are we?
Crawford is better, but I think.
So why are we debating? Why are we debating this? So why are we debating this then? If it's not biased, if I were to say once again, if I were to say Lomachenko is #2 and Crawford is #1. To me, that wouldn't be biased. But let me tell you what would be biased. Now, before Lomachenko beat Rigo and Andre Ward had just knocked out Kovalev, Jim Lampley, he still had Lomachenko as #1 over Andre Ward. Now, that would be blatantly racially biased right there. You see what I'm saying? But
yeah, Jim Lampley's mad racist, bro.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he is mad racist.
So,
you know what I'm saying? That is, but that's why I come to your channel, man. That's why I don't go to these other channels. You know what I'm saying? That's why I don't watch.
But I don't believe that you've ever sent a message to a Dan Raphael, or you've even had a conversation in a comment section where you were telling people that you thought Jim Lampley or Dan Raphael was racist. I mean, I'm just saying. I don't think.
Did. I said, are you kidding me? Of course, yo. When they were hyping up Triple G, I was like, they're hyping him up because he's white. That's the reason why they're hyping him up. He's not that good if you really looked at it.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? There was a few boxers that outboxed him. He wasn't that good. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way that I was looking at it. But what I'm saying is the way that I'm looking at it is you got to understand, man. Lomachenko, he beat. All right, I mean, like I said, you could always make excuses for every fight, but look, he beat an undefeated Gary Russell Jr. in his 3rd professional fight, man. That's no experience right there. No experience.
Well,
he beat Gary Russell Jr., his 3rd professional fight. Then he moved up in weight and beat an undefeated Nicholas Walters.
And
you see what I'm saying? And then he defeats Rigondeaux.
Well, this is the
reason.
And
then now he moves up again and defeats Linares.
And everything you just said.
That deserves pound for pound #1.
And everything you just said right now, it proves that he deserves to be in the top 3. Once again, when you compare,
but that's what I'm saying. So how do you like?
Well,
what I'm saying is, what makes Terrence Crawford deserve to be over him?
Because I'm gonna tell you,
he has better victories.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because let me respond.
How many fighters do you know?
Let me respond to you real quick. What you're comparing, you're saying Lomachenko's best win, because I want to go back to Rigo, because there's no doubt about it. As far as I'm concerned, that catapulted his status when it comes to pound for pound. You're basically comparing Lomachenko's win over Guillermo Rigo to Terrence Crawford.
No, not the Rigo. No, not the Rigo.
But that's what we were talking about. But that's what we were talking about. We were talking about the Rigo fight,
right,
okay. Okay, so
I was just
is it Gary Russell?
Errol Spence thing. That's what I was doing.
Okay, but what I'm saying is his best wins are against, to me, his best wins are against Gary Russell and Guillermo Rigo. Those are his biggest wins.
What about Nicholas Walters?
And Nicholas Walters.
What about
Walters? I'm saying it in the order. If you're talking about the 2 top, Gary Russell, and Guillermo Rigo, and Nicholas Walters is up there as well. So, but the Rigo fight in particular, which I catapulted him on a pound for pound, it was against a smaller opponent. Listen, so I can prove to you that I haven't contradicted myself. I've said on numerous videos when it comes to Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia, I've said Mikey Garcia is in a much better situation as Errol Spence, because if Mikey Garcia wins this fight, it catapults him as pound for pound #1, I mean, and it would be a huge win. But if Errol Spence wins the fight, he beat a smaller guy. All he really gets in this fight is recognition, and he gets to be the person in history to put that first blemish on Mikey Garcia's record. So you see, right. I haven't sat over here and said, "Oh man," I've never said if Errol Spence wins this fight, this makes him pound for pound #1 over Terrence Crawford, et cetera, et cetera. He goes over Lomachenko. He goes. I've never said that.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, look. What's his name? If you really want to be honest, technically, Terrence Crawford's best win, the best win he's ever had, was against a much, much, much smaller guy. And that was actually the reason why he lost. The reason why Gamboa lost that fight was because he was much smaller. He was actually beating the shit out of a Terrence Crawford at first.
I wouldn't say it was
because I think he was outboxing him.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, you're right.
But that's what I'm saying. So now because the size became a difference as the rounds wear on, that's why, you know what I'm saying? That's why, all right.
But
Terrence Crawford came out on top. But that's his best win.
Let me say one more thing.
The size at all, the size, age, or inactivity against Gilmer Rigondeaux was not a factor? Or the inactivity or the inactivity and the weight loss that Nicholas Walters had to endure prior to fighting Lomachenko wasn't a factor.
Right. Either. That is. No, 100% that is. But what I'm saying is that when you're taking his best win, that's technically Terrence Crawford's best, most skilled person that he's beat. The best, most skilled person that he's beat is Gamboa.
Okay.
And the Gamboa fight.
Hold on. Listen.
Okay, I have another question for you. I have another question for you. Okay, so with Gamboa, he's an Olympic gold medalist, right?
Right.
Felix Diaz, another guy, Crawford beat, Olympic gold medalist, right?
Yeah, but I mean, how high was he on the rankings really when he beat him? You know what I'm saying? He's still unproven at this point. Like, he's not. I wouldn't consider him top. Like, all right, Gamboa was actually a champion. You see what I'm saying? No, like right. you can't make the same comparison with that.
Let me jump.
I think with pound for pound, it's a measure of opposition, of course,
adversity,
how you look, but also accomplishment. And Crawford has unified an entire division. There's only a handful of people that have done that.
And let me say this.
Right. Yeah, but then if that's the case, then you're gonna say, all right. So then, how far is Uzcategui on that list? I mean, sometimes it's not that difficult.
He's up on my list.
Listen,
he's up on my list based on doing that, and he's very skilled. The eye test tells me Uzcategui is a great fighter.
But let me say,
right. No, I agree.
Let me say,
what I'm trying to say is that it's more difficult to unify a division with very good fighters. Of course, let's say if somebody unifies the welterweight division, it's very tough to say that they're not number one. You see what I'm saying? They're number one at that point. But if you knock out Ndongo, you know what I'm saying? Ndongo he wasn't that good to begin with.
Hold on, let me respond. Let me respond real quick because I want to go way back. I've been letting y'all talk for a minute. Let me just say something real quick. Once again, when it comes to the criteria of pound for pound, you also have to add in adversity. So if we're comparing Lomachenko to Terrence Crawford, we have to also look at how dominant do they look when they move up in weight. When you can't just go just off of skill. Now you got guys in there just as strong as you, maybe even stronger than you. How do you deal with that level of pressure and adversity? And when we look at how Terrence Crawford looked moving up in weight, and then we look at how Lomachenko looked when he moved up against Linares, we started to see that, he's not as comfortable moving up in weight as Terrence Crawford is when he moves up in weight. So it's not so much.
Yeah, but there's a difference. Though. Let me just tell.
But hold on, let me just say one more thing. Let me say one more thing. It's not so much of just the big name opponent, because a lot of times a fighter can go up in weight and lose to a guy who's not as a big name as the opponents that they fought in the smaller weight classes, because once again they're dealing with adversity. They're dealing with power.
Right.
They're dealing with size, and that changes the dynamic right there. So that's the reason why.
100%.
So you have to look at all of these intangibles when it comes to considering who pound for pound is, though. And let me say this
100%.
about.
And now look at it. Lomachenko, he dealt with adversity. You know what I'm saying? He was in there with somebody that was bigger than him and was hitting back. And what did Lomachenko do? He readjusted, and then he came out and he knocked the guy out. You know what I'm saying? And he was outboxing him actually the last few rounds before that. He started outboxing him. So that goes to show you, all right, so he's also dealt with adversity. And like I said, it's not like he moved up and fought a Jeff Horn type of fighter. He fought. He moved up and fought a very skillful type of fighter. You see what I'm saying?
So the question is, though, how good really is Linares?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's a three-time champion.
But he's been knocked out. But he's been knocked out a couple times. I mean, and you criticized Ndongo.
Yeah,
you said Ndongo wasn't really that good, but now you're saying Linares is good. And Linares, he's been knocked out before. He's been knocked out a couple times before. So I mean,
100%. But no, what I'm saying is that Linares was already a proven champion before what's his name? Before Lomachenko fought him. He was already a proven champion. We all noticed. We saw, he had setbacks, but he was still he was a skillful fighter. He's pretty good. Yeah, he's not the best, but he's pretty good. He's a good fighter.
Okay, so as far as the matchup goes, Linares he's a solid fighter. He has good hand speed, but he's not really known for on his punches. I mean, I think when Bob Arum saw that fight was available, I don't think he had any type of concerns about Lomachenko beating him, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Linares beating him.
But maybe not.
Once again,
but he was also, like I said, he's moving up in weight. And also, like I said, to be honest, look, let me just say one more thing real quick. The problem is that Lomachenko came into the pro age he came into the pro ranks way too late. You see what I'm saying? Had he have come in maybe 5 years earlier, he would have campaigned at a much, much lower weight class, got some titles, and then moved up. He would have already been by now maybe a 5-weight champion.
We can't really go off of. Yeah,
we don't really. But would he have been the same fighter that he is now, though? That's the question.
And we don't.
It's all speculation.
And we don't know, so there's no reason.
Man, who knows?
And we don't know. So
what I'm saying is, what I am saying is, look, Terence Crawford's best win, his actually signature win against the most skillful opponent he faced, was against a much smaller man. You see what I'm saying? That was his best win. But Lomachenko, like I said, he's got wins. Of course, you could say some excuses about the Walters fight, about the Rigondeaux fight. He already has a win against Gary Russell Jr.
Well, let me say,
he's got a win against Gary Russell Jr. He's got a win against Nicholas Walters, Guillermo Rigondeaux, and now Linares.
Okay, listen.
I think that deserves.
And I was
right. That deserves to be.
And he took an L too.
And I was.
Yeah, but to be honest, look. Did you watch? Did anybody watch that fight? Did you guys watch
the Salido fight?
The Lomachenko and Salido fight. Yeah. To be honest, man, I think that if that wasn't his second pro fight, he would have won. Yeah, but he didn't know what he was doing.
But you don't. Pro ranks at that time. But bro, you called in saying that I was biased. You don't think that you sounding biased right now? Once again, Terence Crawford, he doesn't have a loss. Terence Crawford doesn't have a loss, but Mikey Garcia, Lomachenko, he does have a loss. And we're trying to figure out. What do you mean? What does that mean? Are you telling me if Terence Crawford had a loss?
Are you saying
if Terence Crawford had a loss?
When Pacquiao was
wait.
When Pacquiao was number one pound for pound.
But we're comparing Crawford. We're comparing Crawford to Lomachenko. We're not comparing Crawford to Manny Pacquiao. So once again, if Terence Crawford had a loss on his record and he never avenged that loss, and Lomachenko was undefeated, are you honestly gonna sit here and tell me you wouldn't be calling me up right now saying, "Hey, come on, man, he has a loss. Lomachenko is still undefeated, and Terence Crawford didn't even avenge that loss. Lomachenko would have destroyed Orlando Salido."
It depends. I think it depends on the loss, man. To be honest, I think it depends on the loss. Like, let's say, for instance, Lomachenko was outboxed by Gary Russell Jr. That would have been a very bad loss on his record, I think, because that's like, you got outboxed.
Bro,
that's different.
I'm gonna say this.
With the merit of the fight,
in all due respect. In all due respect, I'm going to say this, bro, and I'm saying it in all due respect because I'm a very direct person. When you first said you thought Usyk was fight of the year, I just took it for what you said. But now, after you saying all of this, I know that you are extremely racially biased. But
oh my God! Come on, are you serious, bro?
No,
are you serious? Yo, first of all, Bernard Hopkins is my favorite fighter of all time.
And you got a lot of black friends, but I don't believe. But that doesn't mean anything.
No, I don't go off. I live in New York. I don't even have to say that.
No, it doesn't matter where you live. But listen, but it's all good though. But I'm not tripping though, and I have no type of animosity towards you.
No, but that's what you do, man. Come on, Dante.
Because we going off of your actions. You always do this. Because we going off of your actions. We going off of your actions. First of all, you started the conversation off. First of all, you started the conversation off telling me that you don't really appreciate me addressing racism. You saying you talking about racism.
That's not what I said.
You doing the same thing.
And
then you said, and then I told you to give me an example. I told you to give me an example. Your example.
Rewind.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to.
Rewind
you tell me if you said this. You tell me if you said this or not. You told me earlier, I said, give me an example of me mistreating a non-black fighter when he was in the exact same situation as the black fighter. And you gave me a scenario that was apples and rocks. It wasn't even apples and oranges. You talked about Floyd Mayweather.
You can't say apples and rocks, man.
You talked about Floyd Mayweather.
Apples and rocks.
You talked about Floyd Mayweather
and
moving up.
Laura.
It's not, but it's not the same. What I wanted you to do is give me an example of when, for example, this is just for example, if you have two boxers that are doing the same thing in the ring. You have one guy who's using great head movement, he's defensive, and he's making it look so easy, and I'm like, wow, that's impressive. And then when I see this person who's not black doing that, I'm like, look at him, he's scared to get hit. Look at him, he's so scared to get hit. He's running, he's this and he's that.
Man.
I know, you did that. But what I'm saying is that would be a perfect. I never went
that hard.
But what I'm saying is that would be a perfect.
I never went that
but
hard.
These are the examples.
All I'm saying is that you show your favoritism and bias.
But you haven't. But
you're allowed to.
But listen. But you just hold on. You keep saying that. You keep saying that. But every time I gave you an opportunity to prove it, you end up agreeing with me. You said you admitted.
Oh, man,
you admitted.
Hold on. Videos,
hold on. Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. Yeah. Go. Please. Please watch some of my videos. I will. And we'll talk about it then. But listen, you said. When we talked about this Lomachenko versus Terrence Crawford being #1, you admitted it's not biased at all if someone believes that Terrence Crawford is #1 versus Lomachenko, even though you strongly believe Lomachenko is #1. And then once again, every time I ask you to give me an example, you end up saying something that didn't suggest.
I know, but come on, man. But then it's like, all right, so then if you want to use that example, then all right, so why is it that you have to pick the black fighter that's #1 over the white fighter? You see what I'm saying? Why is it like that? Why couldn't you, like, let's say, be like, yo, listen, I don't know.
Listen to what you're saying. Listen to what you're saying. So what you're saying is a black person doesn't have permission to say that the black fighter is the best fighter in the world. I mean, how does that make? How does that? That's what you just said. Okay, say it again. Say it again. Say it again. Say what you just said again.
What I'm saying is that it's a coincidence that in this scenario, when actually the white fighter has a better resume than the black fighter, you still end up choosing the black fighter over the white fighter. When technically the white fighter has a better resume than the black fighter.
Well, we going right back. We going right back to the debate. Once again, you have things that Terrence Crawford has done that Lomachenko hasn't done. Crawford is undefeated. He has not lost. He moved up in weight. He dominated guys that were bigger than him at higher weight classes. He continues to move up in weight and dominate bigger guys. That's something Lomachenko hasn't done. So once again,
Lomachenko has moved up in weight.
But once again, you can't. But
they're both the same age, actually.
But you're contradicting yourself.
Both the same age.
You're contradicting yourself when 1 minute you say it's not biased if you pick Terrence Crawford as #1, but then turn around and say, oh, but it's a coincidence that he's black and you're black, and you're picking the black guy as #1. Like I said,
so Dante, no, speaking real. You don't understand what I'm trying to say, though.
Oh, I understand.
You don't get what I'm trying to say.
I understand everything you're trying to say. What you're trying to say.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Well, listen, but this is what your problem is, and I'm gonna tell you right now. And let me finish my point. Before new media emerged, black fighters didn't get credit at all. Black fighters didn't get credit at all by the media.
1,000%. And I thank you.
Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. Let me just finish. Let me just finish. They weren't getting credit at all. They were always perceived as either whatever, boring or they're inferior to other fighters. So once again, when I came out and I started to give black fighters the credit that they deserve, that almost sounds foreign to a lot of people that got comfortable with discrediting black fighters, to the point to where now they looking at you kind of weird, like, wait a minute. You must be biased because nobody ever says that about a black fighter. No one ever says that they're.
I know exactly what you mean.
100%.
I know exactly what you mean.
So
like, yo, do you know how many people used to hate on Bernard Hopkins back in the day? And I was like, yo, you just don't understand how good he is.
But hold on, but you tell me that now, but you only say that in defense of how you look. But your actions don't suggest that, though.
Come on.
Everything that you saying, everything that you saying, it comes off as racially biased. I'm just being real with you.
All right. So look. All right. So let's just rewind for a second. All right. Let's just rewind for a second. All I'm saying is, look, what I said from the beginning was, yo, you're allowed to root for your people. There's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
Man. If a Chinese person is gonna fight, they're allowed to root for their own people. The
Absolutely.
Mexican person can root for their own people. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is, as a reporter, you see what I'm saying? As a reporter,
I completely agree. And let me tell you this: as a reporter,
you're supposed to be like, yo,
and I'm glad.
Just call it what it is.
And
exactly.
you're right. You're right.
Absolutely.
Hold on. Let me say this. Let me respond to him real quick. Let me respond to him real quick. As a reporter, you're supposed to call it as it is. Do you know?
Exactly.
Do you know that the majority of professional boxers and trainers that don't have any type of agenda, why is it 95% of the time they agree with everything that I say? Regardless if it's about a black fighter, if it's about a non-black fighter. The reason why is because, once again, they don't have an agenda. So what they saying, they calling it straight down the line. They're not fans on the internet congregating with a whole bunch of decafs or whatever. They're saying stuff straight down the line.
I understand.
So what I'm saying, but once again, as a reporter, once again, what did I say as a reporter that was racially biased? As a reporter who's supposed to call it down the line.
You didn't say anything technically racially biased. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that
And the difference is Jim Lampley, Dan Raphael, and other people, and a lot of decafs in the comment section, they have actually said the things, and I can give you a side-by-side comparison.
Yeah, but fuck those people. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry for my language, man. But fuck those people, man. They don't even know what they're talking about. That's why they're decafs.
Yeah, but you saying the same. But you saying the same things they said. But you saying the same things that they're saying, though.
Yo, Dante, look, I came on here, did not say. I brought facts with what I'm saying.
No, you didn't bring facts because I asked you.
Lomachenko,
But even with your argument, you've actually you've agreed to some of our counterpoints in regards to why Terrence Crawford.
But that's how dialogue is started. That's how dialogue is worked. It has nothing to do about who's racist or who's not. It's just dialogue. We're talking about
right, but with saying that, what's the problem with viewing Terrence Crawford as number one, or what's the problem with viewing Vasyl Lomachenko as number one? There's really no animosity or argument but doing either guy.
But that was also one of my main points. I just felt like I just literally felt like with the way that your videos were, you gave Lomachenko credit, but what I'm saying is the way that you show favoritism, like you might talk about a specific fighter more and hype him more than another specific fighter.
Give me an example. You can't just call somebody a criminal. And then when somebody asks what did he do, you say, "Oh, I don't know what he did, but he's a criminal." No, you got to tell people what they did. You got to tell me. You have to tell me because for you just to throw stuff out and not explain it, then you throwing stuff at the wall. You just.
But I gave you some examples.
Yeah, your example was a comparison to Terrence Crawford and Lomachenko, and then at the end of that example,
it wasn't. No.
That was one of the examples. That was one of your examples. Hold on, but
what I was saying about Lomachenko was I just felt like if I really look at your videos as a whole and your whole channel as a whole, I just felt like had Lomachenko been black, I felt like you would have jumped on his hype train a little bit more. That's all.
But you can't say it would have happened or Dante would have did this. You got to tell me what I'm doing now. Once again, when I talk about racists, I don't say what they would have said. I give you perfect examples of what they're saying now, which proves we know what they would have said later on.
That's why you do this for a living, bro. That's why I don't do this for a living.
Once again, if you don't know, if you can't give me one example of how I treated Lomachenko that was so different than how I treated Errol Spence or whatever the case is.
I just told you. I said it's the way that you hype up certain people over others.
By saying what?
You might
by saying what? By saying what?
No.
By saying what?
It's by not saying. No,
okay.
It's by not saying.
Okay, by not saying what? By not saying what? By not saying what?
Yeah, by not really looking and being like, yo, wow, this dude actually really did just beat a lot of very good people. And actually, if I look at the pound for pound list, these people don't even have the same names on their resumes as this dude does.
You're not making any sense. You're not making any sense. I've already said stuff like that though.
Why?
So if I play a clip, hold on, wait, because this could be proven right now.
Yeah.
So if I play a clip,
what I'm saying,
hold on. Let me respond to that. Let me respond. So if I play a clip of me praising the hell out of Lomachenko after that Rigo fight.
And yo, I'm sorry for everybody if I'm taking too much time, man. My bad.
It's all good. It's all good. So I enjoy the conversation though. So if I play a clip,
too, bro.
if I put a link in the description box right now of me giving Lomachenko a lot of credit after he beat Rigo, would you basically admit that you were completely wrong?
No, because what? You're telling me one video I'm talking about?
So see what I'm saying? So see what I'm saying? So see what I'm saying? So once again, the point you just said right now. Hold on, let me what you just said right now.
Go ahead.
What you just said right now is you didn't give Lomachenko this credit. And I'm just telling you right now.
No,
so if I show you that I did give him that credit.
I didn't say it like that.
So once again,
I didn't say it like that, man. What I'm saying is when you talk about the
hold on. Let me say this. Let me say this because I'm giving you a lot of time. So let me jump back in the mix. Once again, man, what people don't understand is if this was not America. Once again, if this only in America do people try to say an American is biased for giving Americans credit. Giving black fighters credit in America that actually deserve the credit. Now, it would be different if I was telling people that James Kirkland was better than Lomachenko, if Zab Judah was better than Golovkin. If I was saying something like that, now that would be blatant racist and that would be biased as hell. Once again, like Jim Lampley telling people that Lomachenko is number one over Andre Ward. What looks more racist, what looks more biased is when you have an American like Jim Lampley who is actually praising the white foreign fighter over the black American fighter that actually deserves to be considered pound for pound number one in the world. In this situation right here, you even admitted yourself, my man, my caller, he even admitted that it could easily be, it's not considered bias at all if you have Terrence Crawford over Lomachenko. And we all know that a lot of people that aren't even black, they have Terrence Crawford over Lomachenko. Even Lomachenko, when he was asked who he thought should be pound for pound the best fighter in the world, and reporters thought that Lomachenko was going to say, well, I believe I'm number one. Lomachenko, he said, Terrence Crawford is number one, the pound for pound best fighter in the world. So once again, with that being said, it's not considered bias at all. And I'm going to go ahead and let my man go. Once again, I gave him a whole bunch of time, and I'm talking so much, my voice is getting hoarse now. But anyway, I'm going to let my man go. Once again, 516, thanks for your call. You can call in any other time, and we'll get the conversation in again. Anything else you want to say before I let you go real quick?
No, man, that's good, man. That's good. It was a good conversation, man. You know what I'm saying? It was all dialogue, bro. So,
absolutely.
You know,
I don't take none of this personal. Hey, no doubt, man. Take it easy.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, me too.
Okay. My bad. I didn't mean to cut him off while he was talking at the last minute. But anyway, hey, you guys still there? Everybody still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah, still here.
Yeah. So listen, like I said, just real quick, man. This is the thing. Only in America. And what people don't realize is this shows you how racist people are towards black people. For you to call a black American biased for praising black fighters that actually deserve the credit. Once again, we're not talking about fighters that don't deserve the credit. We giving credit to fighters that deserve the credit, right? We giving credit to fighters that, once again, it's not a coincidence that you have Mexican trainers like Nacho Beristain. Nacho Beristain is praising Floyd Mayweather as better than any other fighter, right? You got Joel Diaz, Tim Bradley's former trainer, praising Floyd Mayweather better than he trained, more than he praises any other fighter. Canelo Alvarez trainer praising him. Oscar De La Hoya said Floyd Mayweather is the greatest fighter of all time. Mikey Garcia's father, Eduardo Garcia, said he's the greatest of all time. These are people that aren't even black saying this about black fighters. But then if a black person says it, then you say, oh, you just being biased or whatever. But we know that no one would ever say the Filipino media is just biased towards Manny Pacquiao. No one would ever say the Mexican media is just biased towards Canelo Alvarez. They only say this when it comes to black people because they have been taught, black people, you're not supposed to say, hey, whoa, what do you mean he's good and he's this? You're not supposed to be saying that kind of stuff about black people. I was taught you discredit them at every chance you get. That's what these fans have been taught. So once again, it sounds completely foreign to them when they hear black people giving black people credit that they deserve. But once again, only in America would an American call another American biased for giving the American credit. Do you guys know how ridiculous that sounds? Do you think there would ever be a Mexican guy, a Mexican fan, calling up a Mexican reporter and saying, hey, man, I just want to let you know, man, the stuff that you say is biased towards Mexicans. I could tell you're a fan of Mexicans, right? You would never hear them say that. Only in America would you say that because of the racism towards black people. So in real talk, like I said, I respect dude for calling in, and it's good to have these conversations because when we talk to cats like that, we get to talk to all the decafs at one time. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much what that was. Money. Didn't we give him an opportunity? We gave him an opportunity to prove what he was trying to say, right, Money? I mean,
yeah, that is correct.
Yeah, everything. He said that I was biased and this, and every time I gave him an example, he would end up agreeing. He would end up agreeing with what I said. You just give me an example. Go ahead, Kurt.
No, I was going to say, you know, in reference to Terrence Crawford, he's been fighting guys bigger than him. I mean, physically bigger than him, physically stronger than him.
Yeah, of course.
And he's winning in a dominating fashion. I'm like, I don't think that's, you know, like from their side, I don't think that's being addressed.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is head and shoulders above the competition that he's being put in front of Terrence Crawford.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like when Roy Jones moved up to fight against John Ruiz. You can't say, oh, but that he doesn't get any credit for that because that was, you know, Ruiz wasn't even the best heavyweight, or look at when so-and-so fought, look at when Lomachenko fought against Rigo. You know, you can't compare it because Lomachenko is not in the same situation. Once again, like I said, you look at Lomachenko moving up in weight right now. You're looking at Terrence Crawford moving up in weight right now, and you see how Loma looked against Linares, and you see how Terrence Crawford looks. Terrence Crawford still looks like the same fighter. Now, this is not to suggest that Lomachenko can't pull off a performance and become number one, but right now, you know, it is. I mean, realistically, it is subjective. It is subjective. You know, it is how you look at it. So I wouldn't call someone just biased and racist if you do have Lomachenko at number one. But once again, you got to look at every aspect. You cannot just say, oh, but look at the names on Loma's record. You got to look at what they are doing in the ring. And once again, Terrence Crawford is beating bigger, stronger guys, and he's doing it the same way he did when he was a smaller fighter. So that's pretty much what that is. And once again, we have to remember.
That's what I also try to tell him.
Absolutely.
Like he was applying a blanket statement to a situation. It's like you can't, aside from just looking at the names on the resume, you have to look at the condition of each fighter going into that situation.
Absolutely.
So he even acknowledged, Rigondeaux was older, and coming up 2 weight classes, a year of inactivity. Same with Nicholas Walters. So I mean, you have to take away some. I mean, you want to give the guy credit for winning the fight, but I mean, how much credit do we give him? And the same thing will apply to Errol Spence, as you pointed out, when he fights Mikey Garcia. If he's to get that win, how much credit will the critics give Errol Spence for beating a guy that he's supposed to beat?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
right.
And once again, it's like I want people to understand this too, man. When you calling somebody out, you can't just call them a criminal. Once again, like I said before, you have to show, you have to prove, I seen this man steal this, or, you know, he came to my house and some money came up missing, or whatever. I gave him my car and he kept it for 2 weeks. You know, it got to be some type of example. You can't just say you're a criminal and then I say, what did I do? Oh, I don't know what you did, but you're just a criminal. I could tell you the type of person that where, you know, if somebody left something on the ground and you walked away, you the type of person, I just think you would take it. You just seem like that type of person, because that's what he was basically saying. You know, like you ain't never stole nothing, but I could tell if you were in the situation, you would steal something. Because that's what he kept saying to me. He kept saying, well, I can't give you an example, but I just know if Lomachenko was this and he was that.
Right.
But you can't say that, though. You can't say that. I mean, once again, man, these cats are so used to they're so used to being racist. I mean, boxing has allowed a lot of these fans to be comfortable with their racism. I could tell you that person, he really doesn't feel that he's racist. He don't feel that he's racist at all. It's because the sport of boxing, it taught him to be comfortable with his racism towards black people. He feels deep down like a lot of fans feel, you know, you don't give black people credit. You just don't give black people credit. This is the reason why these racist fans, they always use all these code words in the comment section. Like whenever you say anything positive about a black fighter who, and it's true, you're not saying anything out of pocket. You saying something positive, and these fans come out and say, hey, man, stop riding that fighter's dick and stop dick riding, et cetera, et cetera. All this means is, bro, you're not supposed to be giving these black fighters credit. Only person that will give a black fighter credit are other black people. And they say this in the comment section all the time, too. Oh, you blacks just stick together. You blacks this, you blacks that. They're telling you, we don't ride with blacks at all. Y'all the only ones that would say something positive about a black fighter. So we making them uncomfortable with giving everybody the credit that they deserve. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. So, hey, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take another call. We're going to get ready to wrap it up. We having a good show. I like conversations like that. Let's go ahead and take another call. We got 202. Oh, yeah. What's going on, 202? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this D calling from Southeast DC.
What's going on, man?
DC.
What's good?
And, I ain't really want nothing. I just appreciate what y'all doing, like how y'all just talk about everything. Like y'all just keep everything on point, and like I appreciate y'all commentary because like the other person talk about Bass, but he wasn't really realizing where you was coming from. So with that being said, and the fights that
thank you, man, appreciate it.
I think that's a good thing for boxing.
Yeah, no.
I think, you know, it's like for real, it's like competition now. Like they compete here with the DAZN, and which I don't think is much competition, but that's the way it is. And
yeah,
I just look for 2019 to be a better place for boxing. That's all.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Hey, good stuff, man. Good stuff, man. And at the end of the day, man, I just want to see good fights, you know, with all these networks. You know what I'm saying? If DAZN, right. Once again, man, PBC, they bringing more fights to the mainstream public when it comes to, just like Fred said, which was a great point. Now you got fights. People can be watching a football game. They wake up, a boxing match is on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's how.
When Fred said that, I was like, "Man, that's a smart business move right there."
Yeah, because that's
very smart.
Yeah, because that's what happened with Errol Spence when he fought against Bundu. You know, right after people was watching the Olympics.
Because at the end of the day, you probably don't even have to watch the fight, but your TV still gonna be on that channel, so it's gonna get some views.
Absolutely, man. Hey, but thanks for your good stuff, man. But I'm gonna get to another call. I'm gonna try to get a couple calls before we get up out of here. Thanks for calling in. All right, man.
All right, man. Y'all be safe, man, and y'all keep doing what y'all doing.
Good looking, man.
Thank you. Take it easy, man. Okay.
Real quick, Kirk. Hey, Kirk, how do you think that Caleb Plant versus Uzcategui fight is going to play out?
Man, that's a really interesting matchup. I've been waiting on that. I was disappointed or bummed out when Plant got injured and we had to postpone it. But you're going to see a guy who has an unorthodox style and who is very underrated, I think, offensively in Uzcategui, and then arguably the best defensive fighter at 168. It was Caleb Plant. So we're going to see which attributes actually end up panning out, and it's going to be a test for Caleb Plant going against someone who's elite, you know, at a high level in his prime for the first time. So we're going to learn a lot about both fighters. So I'm going for Plant. We'll see what happens, though.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And once again, these are the type of fights that we really love. Undefeated fighters making that transition into the big leagues. You know, this is why, once again, this is how you determine how special a fighter is, because we see a lot of undefeated fighters. They look real good when they fighting against C-level opponents or B-level opponents. But then we really know if they're special when they go up against an opponent like Jose Uzcategui. And, you know, we're going to see if, you know, my man Caleb Plant has that intestinal fortitude, you know, to deal with the pressure that he's going to have to deal with when it comes to Jose, you know. So, yeah, I'm pulling for my man Caleb Plant too. I've been knowing Caleb Plant since he started his professional career. He's good people, man. So I just hope he could put on a performance. And, you know, and shout out, I got love for Team Uzcategui too. They seen me at the Box Fan Expo, and they said, man, I heard you think that Caleb Plant is going to win the fight. I said, well, Caleb Plant is my boy, you know what I mean? But I know it's going to be a good fight, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, we'll see. We'll see. I'm just glad, you know, that we getting it in, y'all. Let's go ahead and take another call. Once again, try to get some more calls in before we get up out of here. Let me see here. Okay, we got 404. What's going on? What's your name? Where you calling from, man?
Hey, how you doing? Everybody doing tonight? This is Q from Stone Mountain.
What's up, Q? What's good? What's good with you?
Mountain. Okay.
All right. Just a quick thing. I know the first call took a lot of time. Mr. Money, I just want to question, how does what do you think about like the middleweight division basically being in the zone? I know that it kind of affects your son. So would that be tough negotiations for him to start having that fight? Like if, you know, he starts getting into championship level fights, him having to go over there and fight, because I foresee that it's going to be hard for Charlo to fight those guys due to the fact that they're on the zone, and Eddie Hearn is not going to make it easy unless they go to purse bid. And I think that's the same thing that's actually going to happen to Crawford trying to fight the other 147 champion.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you make a very good point. You know, and, you know, with money being signed to Ringstar, hey, that's Richard Schaefer. And I'm kind of glad you asked that, because that is something I would have to ask him, you know, in reference to something like that, because, you know, I'm not for sure what his relationship is with Eddie, you know. So the way that it's set up right now, there's Eddie, then there's the DAZN. And you've had Oscar De La Hoya show you what you can do as a promoter and come over there and say, hey, look, not only this one guy I have signed up, but these people I have signed up with. That's what Oscar did. I think Richard could do the same thing. Remember to see Richard drop. And lately, you know, I don't know if anyone's been paying attention to it or not, but you have Richard. You notice you see Jamal, all of a sudden you'll see Richard standing right there. Even though he's not, you know, he's not signed to Richard as, you know, in promotion, Richard's always right there. Just like with Mikey, Richard's always right there. So I think the bridge is there, but we'll see. We'll and then you have Al in the background because you have Danny Jacobs right there. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'll all get worked
Good
out.
Question.
Yeah, good stuff. Anything else, Q?
Yes, because also just to answer the guy in the comment section that was and he kept talking about Porter, and I feel like you giving Porter in my opinion, you giving Porter a unfair shake, because before the Porter and Garcia fight, when you did Dad Chat, I was the one that phoned in and said, hey, man, I told you in Blue, I don't think that they were going to fight next, because Porter kept saying business. And I know everybody else was saying, well, no, Kenny said the fight's going to happen. And I was like, no, Sean Porter on other channels interviews, he kept bringing up business. Like, it was only on like the major ones that he would actually say, oh yeah, that's going to be the next fight, definitely. But then on the you know, the more private little channels, the more YouTube channels, guys like yourself, you know, I would notice him saying like, well, the business part of it. So I say this, that you can't give Porter, you can't crack on Porter too much about not making the Spence fight, because I feel like at the end of the day, if you're gonna do that, and they're under the same network, Crawford's camp has been calling out Spence, and Spence and Mayweather came out for whatever reason. Mayweather came out and said, "No, we said we're not going to take that fight, or we're not even worried about them right now because of we're going to let it marinate, or that's because it's Bob Arum or whatever." So, I mean, if Porter can say business and Spence is basically saying business, then you got to cut Porter some slack, and you got to cut Thurman some slack because Thurman is just getting back. And I think
hold on, y'all. Hold on, guys. I lost my callers. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Give me a second. Give me a second, y'all. I lost my callers. Give me 1 second, guys. Got to get them back on the horn.
This service is provided by Access code accepted. There are 7 participants in this conference. Please announce yourself.
Come back in there. I think they just came back in.
Yep, yeah, back in. Just got back in right now.
And I agree. Okay. And I agree with you. I agree with you, Mr. Money. But I tell you, I saw it in the making. So I mean, like I said, I understand people's point of view, but I say on that aspect, you have to kind of say, well, hey, Crawford's camp is actually calling out Spence and Mayweather for whatever reason. Openly said, hey, that's not the fight they checking for. It's Bob Arum or whatever. So, I think we need to watch our wording because on that of saying people saying, well, all the 147 pounders are scared of Spence. I don't think Crawford's avoiding. I think Crawford is.
Nobody.
I
think.
Well,
Q. Let me say this.
You did, Mr. Money.
Well, let me say this, Q.
But if you listen to what Barbershop said first, he said when he said that comment that you brought up, he said all the 147 pounders are scared of him. And that's why I was like, well, you got to watch that because I don't think Crawford is scared of him. I think
Crawford's not scared of him at all.
Fight him next if he had the chance.
No, Crawford's not scared of him at all.
I don't think he's afraid of him either. But the thing is also, anyone can say, well, I'll fight him. Oh, I'll do this. But it all boils down to making it happen and negotiating and actually taking the step to make it happen.
And on top,
but I don't think Crawford is afraid of Spence at all. But
Spence is not afraid, and Spence is obviously not afraid of Crawford. But the thing is, I think when a lot of people were talking about welterweights not wanting to fight Errol Spence, I think the majority of people were talking about everyone except for Crawford. Because as far as I'm concerned, Crawford and Errol Spence, they're the two boogeymen in the division. Matter of fact, Keith Thurman, he just, it's crazy, and I give Keith Thurman a lot of credit because of his IQ. I like when he talks boxing, when he's talking about breaking down fights. He's really a student of the game.
Me too.
But with that being said, he does these interviews, and man, Errol Spence be having these guys, Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, they be having these guys just contradicting themselves left and right. He was, I have the interview on my channel, so check out the interview if you haven't watched it. But Keith Thurman, he was basically saying why Crawford didn't deserve, to fight him. Basically, he was saying, Crawford hasn't fought anyone. He hasn't done anything at welterweight. He hasn't fought the Danny Garcias, the Sean Porters, and all this kind of stuff. But once again, man, when Paulie Malignaggi, when he won a belt, Keith Thurman wanted to fight him. You know what I'm saying? And Paulie Malignaggi didn't do anything more than what Terrence Crawford has done. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when Keith Thurman says this. But going back to what Q was saying, yeah, man, I think that Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, they're the two most avoided fighters. And I truly believe that they were thinking on the lines of what I was thinking, which was it's too premature to make that fight right now. I think it would have made more sense. If it would have been structured more like the NFL, the NBA, where once again, Crawford, he takes care of his bracket, Errol Spence takes care of his bracket, and then they meet in the finals or the semifinals or something like that to me, that makes more sense. But now the way things are playing out, I have a feeling that the fight is going to happen in 2019. That's my guess. I think it's going to happen in 2019, assuming Errol Spence beats Mikey Garcia, which a lot of people are expecting that he will. Terrence Crawford fights another opponent, and I think that we will get Crawford versus Spence in 2019 if none of the other welterweights will fight Errol Spence. But guys, I mean, this has got to put a lot of pressure on the welterweights. They had to feel some kind of way when you see this small guy, Mikey Garcia, standing face-to-face with Errol Spence, basically telling all these big welterweights, I'm doing something that you guys didn't want to do. I mean, that's got to make them feel some kind of way. Do you think this will give them extra motivation to fight Errol after this, or what?
It should. It should let a spark under their ass to do that. And I'm pretty sure Lamont Peterson was on set laughing too, because he actually fought the man.
Yeah.
And he'd probably do it again.
Uh-huh.
So,
yeah.
I hope it inspires them to actually want to man up and fight someone in their division.
Yeah.
I mean, you let this little dude step up to the plate and pretty much take what's theirs. I mean, even with that whole press conference, Errol Spence was giving Keith Thurman the whole Debo treatment.
Yeah.
Making, comments about him, ducking him and things like that, interrupting interviews. So
yeah,
they better feel some type of way.
Yeah, man.
Well, I agree, but I think, man, we got to be honest. Thurman was coming off an injury. I mean, because if he would have fought somebody else after Garcia, I say okay, yeah, he avoided the fight. But he went from.
But no.
But Q. If he's lying, I don't know. But in his interview, he said. This is what Thurman said in the interview where I saw, him and Spence going back and forth. Was he said, well, when I fought Garcia, I was really injured with my elbow then. He said, so after this, I took some time off the heel, and he said, and according to him, he said that, hey, and I know he made a reference that I want to fight Porter because I want my belt back. And I remember when he first relinquished the WBC, that he said that there's reports that saying that there was like a back alley deal that say, hey, if Porter, no matter if Porter or Garcia wins, that they will have to fight Thurman. So I don't think Thurman is avoiding it.
Let me say
that's just my opinion. I think
I hear you, Q. But listen. Let me say this. Let me just say this real quick, because I don't think it's a matter of opinion anymore. To be honest with you, Q, I got to disrespectfully disagree with you. He definitely has avoided him. No one has ever blamed Keith Thurman on not taking the Errol Spence fight when he's injured. We're talking about when he's not injured. We're talking about when he's available to fight him. We're talking about a man in Keith Thurman who said that I will fight Errol Spence in 2017. This is what Keith Thurman said. He said, I'll fight him he said, let him beat some cats first. Let him beat some cats first, et cetera, et cetera. Then all of a sudden it's 2017. All of a sudden, Errol Spence, he beats Kell Brook, has a belt. Keith still didn't want to fight him. And this is when he wasn't injured. So we're not talking about when he was injured. There's no doubt about it. He does not have an interest in fighting Errol Spence. When Keith Thurman wasn't injured, he said he wasn't ready. He said, well, I know Errol Spence said he's ready to fight me, but I'm not ready. So, I mean, if that's not avoiding someone, there's no such thing as avoiding someone. So that's pretty much what it is. But
I understand. I understand what you're saying. I think I was talking about more so recently now. Like, because I definitely can't. I don't have an argument to stand on about
But I'm talking about recently. But I'm talking about recently too, though, Q. Because think about this, Q. Right now, we know he's coming off injury. We know Thurman is not going to fight Errol Spence in his first fight back. But he could have said, I'm going to fight him in 2019 for sure. He could have went to Al Heyman and said, I want that fight 2019. Just like Lomachenko went to Bob Arum, at least according to Bob Arum, and he told Bob Arum, I want the Mikey Garcia fight. You know what I'm saying? He could have did this. Keith Thurman has no plans in the next 3 fights to fight Errol Spence. He hasn't said, I want the winner of Mikey Garcia versus Errol Spence. He has no plans. Same thing with Sean Porter. When Sean Porter said he won't fight Errol Spence next, Dan Rafael at the press conference asked him, he said, okay, well, if you're not fighting him next, it seems like it would be more likely that you will fight him sometime early 2019. And Sean Porter still said, hey, I don't even know if I'm going to fight him then. You see what I'm saying? So these guys are not telling the public that they are going to fight him in a couple of fights. Errol Spence, Mikey Garcia told us like 2 years ago he wanted to fight Errol Spence. And now he's fighting Errol Spence. Keith Thurman has never said he wants to fight Errol Spence in the next fight or after his test type, whatever you would call it, his basically where he's going to be testing out his because I'm trying to remember, what was it, his shoulder he injured or his whatever he injured,
his elbow got hurt.
Yeah, he's gonna be testing out. He's gonna be testing out his elbow in this fight. So he's not saying that he wants to fight Errol Spence after that. So until he says he will be fighting him in 2019, then he doesn't want to fight him right now. And that's just the reality of it. Hey, Kirk wanted to say something real quick. Go ahead, Kirk.
Yeah. I was going to say, aside from that, he has too much content, whether it's a video report or even an interview with Errol Spence, that suggests that there is some trepidation from his end. When they had that joint interview, I want to say like over a year and a half ago, when they were both on set, you can tell by Keith's body language he didn't want to fight Errol. He kind of tenses up whenever they're around each other. You can just tell, in his eyes that he does not foresee. He doesn't want to fight Errol Spence. No. And then when you have comments saying that I want a guaranteed $15 million to fight this man and such, and like Dante said, that man, he had the perfect opportunity yesterday at that press conference to say that, all right, well, after I get my test fight in at some point in 2019, or maybe after we find out what happens between Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence, I want the winner. He hasn't said anything of that nature. So I'm inclined to believe that he doesn't have any intentions of fighting Errol. I don't blame him for not wanting to fight him coming off an injury. Of course, work your way back, but I just don't see anything in the foreseeable future where he's going to take that step and challenge Errol Spence to see who's the best welterweight out there.
And let me say this,
and I think he'll fight Porter next, and before he fights Spence. I really do believe that. But
he's definitely gonna fight the winner of Porter. But Ugas is not that easy of an opponent either. He looked good in his last fight, so we'll see.
Right.
We'll see how that fight plays out.
So so again, Mr. Money, I know you're paying attention closely to the middleweight division because of your son. Do you think that Boo Boo and Jacobs are eventually going to fight? Say maybe 2018 to go ahead and unify, or is that more so you seeing Canelo fight Jacobs? Because again, like I said, I didn't see them really call out each other as much. I seen Jacobs really say, hey, he wanted to fight Canelo in May, or he would want to fight Charlo because it's getting personal. So where do you see that whole thing working itself out?
To me, Andre is much like Jamal Charlo. He's the odd man out because he's the guy that does not really have the crowd. So you have Jacobs, then you have Canelo. I think that is a chance in order to make a lot more money. But really with DAZN, it's not about that because everything's capped. You're just going to make a certain amount of money. But if you were dealing in pay-per-views, if we looked at it from a pay-per-view standpoint, it would be more or less, okay, it was Charlo, but Jacobs and Canelo would happen first before Andrade, whatever, step in. Yeah, but those guys are, on the DAZN side.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, they're gonna get to Andrade, but they're gonna get to him last.
Yeah. Most likely. Hey, Q, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up, man. You want to close out with something real quick, Q?
Yeah, because Granados, I know when he fought Sean Porter, he said he'd much rather go down and fight at 140. Now he's back at 147. I just feel bad for him because I don't think he can. He missed the whole junior welterweight World Series to get in that, so it just feels like I see him losing that fight too, because he can take a punch, no question about it. But I just think he is in fact too small for a welterweight. He actually needs to fight at 140.
Only thing, yeah, I mean, yeah, it would seem. I think even he said that he was a little bit more comfortable at 140, but at the same time, man, he definitely did good against Sean Porter. I mean, like I said, he fought Sean Porter off the ropes. He even had Sean Porter backing up. Sean Porter would have him on the ropes, and then Sean Porter would back up. And then there were times when he was coming forward against Sean Porter. So, I mean, he still does pretty well at welterweight. But you're right. It's unfortunate he missed out in that World Boxing Super Series. But it's not that bad of a consolation prize if you get to fight against Danny Garcia. Obviously, there's a lot of big fights for him out there. That's how he got this fight, against Danny Garcia. So anyway, all right, Q, I'm going to go ahead and let you go, man. I'm going to wrap this up, man.
All right, thank you, brothers. Y'all have a blessed night.
Take care, man. All right.
You too.
Hey,
Thank you as well.
I got before we get out of here, I got Reggie on the horn. What's going on, Reggie?
Oh man, what's happening, Dante, man? What's
Reggie,
up,
Reggie. What's up?
Kurt, man?
What's going on now?
Oh man, just chilling and enjoying everything that you guys are addressing. And the thing that just bugs me is how these American fans that keep trying to point out racial issues anytime you don't praise a European fighter. We have all these top-rated American fighters who so fortunately happen to be black, but it always has to turn into a racial issue when it comes to them, and they ignore all the true racial issues. But I love the way that y'all handled that one call.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the hell out of that.
Hey man, good looking, man, good looking. Like I said, like I said, Reggie. I mean, you would never, like I said, you would never have, some Filipino fan calling in a Filipino reporter. Let's say if Manny Pacquiao was pound for pound the best fighter in the world, Floyd Mayweather was no longer fighting, you would never have some Filipino guy try to challenge him saying, yeah, man, but that's BS. Manny Pacquiao doesn't deserve to be the best. You're biased, and et cetera, et cetera. This only happens in America because these racists have gotten so comfortable with their racism towards black people. They normalize it. They normalize it. You know what I mean? It's not even, it doesn't even seem like there's anything wrong with it anymore. And that's what it comes down to. So, but yeah, with that being said.
Right. And the other thing I want to point out, like how deep and twisted their racism is, where it even affects even white folks who don't culturally stick to the so-called like white agenda type code, whether they're listening, they're affected by, whether they're more culturally influenced by country music type thing. We have an outstanding white American fighter who they totally ignore due to his cultural influence in Caleb Plant.
Uh-huh.
He totally gets ignored by this American fan base because he's so heavily associated with black culture, and it just shows how deep and sick white American racism is as it relates to sports. But I'm glad you guys stay unapologetic about it, ain't changing up.
Good looking, man. And let me just say one more thing since we're talking about this. What's funny to me is the guy who called in and tried to say we're being biased, we're being, racially biased or whatever the case is. The funny thing is, you would think that guy would be putting Dan Rafael, he would be putting America on trial when it comes to being racist, because once again, if you have Americans that are going against their own country just to root for a white person because he's from another country, but he has the complexion for the protection, that's the type of racism that you are supposed to be pointing out, because that's blatant racism. That's blatant racism, and it's obvious. It's overt. You know what I'm saying? Because the bottom line, once again, you over here giving commercials to Gennady Golovkin, a foreigner who's not American. America is giving commercials to Manny Pacquiao, a foreigner, right? Foot Locker, Apple, all of this kind of stuff. If you go, do you think Mexico will give a commercial to an American or a black fighter before they give a commercial to Canelo Alvarez? It would never happen. Do you think the Philippines will give a commercial to some foreigner before they give that opportunity to Manny Pacquiao? It would never happen. So, these racists are just programmed. They're programmed to think racism towards black people is normal. And anyone that's fighting against racism, they must be the actual racist. That's how they look at it. So with that being said, guys, hey, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, man. Kirk, you want to close out with anything?
No, just thanks for having me on. Good to talk to you guys again.
All day, all day. My man Money Pal, thanks for joining the show as always, Kirk. My man Money Pal, anything you want to close out with, Money?
No, not really. Oh, well, just can't wait to see the fights this weekend.
Oh, you just remind me. I got to shout out some of the cats that joined the super chat section and donated to me. I always appreciate you guys donating to me once again, man. This is my full-time gig. You know what I mean? I don't make a whole lot of money over here, but I do something that I enjoy, and that's all that matters, right? So when you guys show that love by donating, you help me out a lot. I appreciate that. And also make sure you guys show that support by hitting that like button. You can also show your support by hitting that like button before you get up out of here, okay? So let me shout out some of the cats in that super chat section. They're in that tank with me. My girl, L Flowers, one of my moderators. What's going on, L Flowers? She said, who will be first to step up to EJ, Thurman, Garcia, or Porter? Okay? And my man, Money Pal, always showing me that love. I appreciate it, champ. My man, Money. He said, we support he said, all day. Good looking, family. And my man Myron Dennard. He showed a donation and he was responding to the decaf we had calling earlier. He said, what about the loss to Salido? A lot of people were saying that in the comment section when I was talking to Homeboy, and I was just looking for the right time to drop that up in there. So yeah, man. Once again, let me go ahead and get up out of here. I'm gonna start a Patreon account, whatever it's called. I'm gonna go ahead and start that account up, and we're gonna have one show on that website once a week. So that would be another way for you guys to show your love and support to what we're doing over here, okay, guys? So yeah. Anyway, let me go ahead and wrap this up. Don't miss the show, guys. Don't miss the show, guys. This Sunday, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which will be 9 a.m. for me out here in Thailand the next day. It'll be Monday for me. So make sure you guys call in or you check out the show this Sunday. We're going to get it in. And it was one more thing. Oh, let me shout out to my sponsors. Shout out once again to ashkicking.com. Go ahead and check out that dope-ass website. They got a whole lot of dope products on there. Also, go ahead and click on my DAZN link in the description box if you guys want to see Canelo versus Rocky Fielding for free. Click on that link. You'll watch that fight for free, and you'll get 30 days of DAZN for free. They got a whole bunch of fights on there that you can watch and you can replay. So that's pretty much all I got. Let me get up out of here, y'all. It's time for your boy to get something to eat. Yeah, man, it's going down like a plane crash all day, y'all. See y'all Sunday. Right on. Yep. All right.